Welcome back to the garden. We're going to walk through this pest-riddled garden and look at the beautiful things and the other. This week, we're getting ready to welcome our chickens finally out onto the grass. We'll be ready to have them out of the house because we ran out of room, and so we have some getting ready to join back in with the rest of the flock. So we've mulched these new beds with compost. It looks so much better. I finally planted the pear tree. We'll see if it survives. But the flower bed is absolutely glorious. And I'm so happy with the garden. It's filling in and blooming. With our 105-degree temperatures and the heat index yesterday, it was about 112. And so I came through, and where the ground was bare, I mulched as much as I could with straw until it was just too hot. But everything seems to have made it to remove my deer fence. But the garden is just lovely. Even though we have hornworms, we've only had a handful of ripe tomatoes and the raccoons have gotten them. They're starting to load up. The dwarf tomatoes, I had to put cages on them because they were falling over. And the ground was so dry when I put them in. I have to wait until it rains again to be able to get them really secure in the ground. The tomatillos are in full bloom. Squash is coming along. Parsley. These tomatoes are finally out of their slump. The peppers, these peppers at least have bounced back. I'm pretty sure this is holy basil that's blooming, but we're going to take this off so that it doesn't keep flowering. Take that tree out. Oh, yes, that smells so good. That is the holy basil. And then the zinnias are coming up. And I thought I saw yesterday we had little baby, little marigolds that are coming up. The cucumbers and zinnias in front of them. More cucumbers over here. But the corn, melons, peas are really struggling with this heat, even though I mulched them pretty heavy. Then this one squash vine here goes up the trellis and back down this way and has come out this way. It is gargantuan. And then down here there's delicata squash, and then I thought the watermelon had died, but it decided that it wanted to spring back. The cow peas. And down here, the sweet potatoes are refoliating after being munched by the deer again. The cucumbers are starting to climb. The other cherry tomatoes are starting to put on more blossoms. There's more corn, cow peas. This one doesn't get as much sun, and so it's a little stunted. We have our first bell pepper. I'm so excited. Hopefully the raccoons don't eat it before it's done. The kids are so excited for this pumpkin. I had to come in and tie it up because it wanted to grow in between the cattle panelists, still might, but it was getting too heavy and it was going to break off. If it broke off, it was going to break the vine below it and kill the rest of the plant. I lost the tags, so it's a surprise. I think that one may be the Long Island cheese. We've got more here. We've been battling squash bugs, but I come out every day and hand pick them off, and so far we've stayed ahead of them, fingers crossed. I modified my deer fence. This, I don't know if you can see it, it's just a thick fishing line, and supposedly they run into it and they can't see it, and so it spooks them. But I had some areas where it was either too tall or too short, and so I ran some extra line, and that seems to have kept them out because these sunflowers haven't been munched. Here, this one had been, and now it's coming back at the top and all throughout. But the squash are just rambling. I'm so excited. Hopefully we can stay ahead of the squash bugs. The zucchini, we've had 3 that have come off of that. The kids think that these look like a fruit in their video game. They think they're the neatest. But we've got a bunch of butternut squash, and I think these are honey nut squash. Kajari melons. More squash. And sunflowers. And zinnias. The deer have been in the other garden munching off the top of the zinnias, but these ones, there's one. And down here, the sweet potatoes are refoliating after being munched by the deer again. The cucumbers are starting to climb. The other cherry tomatoes are starting to put on more blossoms. There's more zinnias. These ones, Black Beauty, are beautiful, but we've got something chewing on them. And then, pretty sure these ones are supposed to be black creme tomatoes, but I don't know anymore. We've replaced so many of them. These ones are blue cream berries, and they're getting ready. We're finally starting to see some green tomatoes. Hopefully they'll ripen in time, so we'll get some before it freezes. And then green beans have been producing. Red noodle beans, I was going to pull them off, but I'm saving them for seed for next year because I want to do more of them. All of these are determinate tomatoes, so I let them ramble. They are flush. This Roma is just covered in tomatoes. The last 3 ripe ones on here got munched by a raccoon, and so we're working on getting the fencing in, but I don't foresee us getting it done in this triple-digit heat this week. But this view is absolutely glorious. And this is where the deer come for lunch regularly. They've munched all my pole beans down. All the sunflowers have been picked clean except for the ones that are too tall for them to reach. But we have some zinnias coming up, more squash, more agastaki and salvia, more squash. This poor tree, but it's pushing out new growth, so hopefully it will pull through. They've left all the beans alone, but they seem to just love the sunflowers. But I love how the beans have decided to climb, like I hoped, the sunflowers. They haven't been here in the last couple days, or that would have been cleaned off. More flowers. But between the deer cleaned all this off until they couldn't reach, and the caterpillars, I'm going to end up probably tearing all of this out. They cleaned off, they left the cabbage alone, but the bugs didn't. So I've got to spray. They ate all the green beans, pulled up half the plants, the ones that they didn't pull off. Some of them are growing back, but they're eating it all. So we're working on getting the fence in. But thanks for joining me for a quick walkthrough through the garden. Have a beautiful day. Have a beautiful day.